Have you ever really stopped to think about where all that government money for research actually goes? You know, we hear about these massive budgets, these billions of euros, but it all feels so abstract. Well, today, we're going to follow the money. And this trail leads from a super dense European financial report all the way to a patent that could literally teach a piece of matter how to think. Let's connect the dots.
Okay, it all starts with this absolutely staggering number, 93.3 billion euros, with a B. That's the budget for something called Horizon Europe. Think of it as the EU's giant piggy bank for all things research and innovation. It's honestly one of the biggest public research funds on the entire planet.
But look, a budget this huge isn't just about handing out checks. It's a strategic move. It's a massive bet on the future, right? And it kicks off this fierce, continent-wide race to find the next big thing, the next breakthrough that's going to change the world.
Yeah, this isn't some simple grand program. You have to think of it more like a competitive arena. You've got thousands of research teams, universities, and companies from all over Europe all fighting for a slice of that funding. It's this super high-stakes race to solve our biggest problems and get that technological edge.
So, in a race like this, how are the different countries actually doing? Well, let's zoom in and put one of the top contenders under the microscope, France. There's a new report out that basically gives us a report card on how they're performing.
And honestly, the results are really impressive. You can see it right here in this chart from the report. France is the second biggest winner of this funding, grabbing about 11.4% of the total pie. They're just behind Germany, who's in the lead with 15.8%, but they are comfortably ahead of everyone else: Spain, the Netherlands, Italy, you name it.
But here's where it gets interesting, because the numbers don't tell the whole story. The report found that France and Germany are playing this game completely differently. Germany's strategy is all about volume. They submit a massive number of proposals, playing the odds. France, on the other hand, they submit way fewer applications, but their success rate is way higher. It's kind of like they're a sprinter who picks the races very carefully, but when they run, they almost always win.
So who's behind this incredible success? Well, it really boils down to three powerhouse organizations. First, you've got the CNRS, which is their National Center for Scientific Research. They are the #1 recipient of this funding in all of Europe, not just France, all of Europe. Then there's the CEA, which deals with energy research. They're #3. And INSERM, their medical research institute, comes in at a very strong #18. Now, I want you to remember those first two names, CNRS and CEA. They are absolutely crucial to our story.
And this is where the story takes a turn. I mean, it's great to have rankings and percentages and talk about billions of euros, but that's all just numbers on a page, right? What tangible, groundbreaking stuff actually comes out of all this? What does this money really create? So, to figure that out, we've got to look at two completely different documents. On one side, you have that official government report we've been talking about, packed with dense tables and financial data. And on the other side, we have this, a recently published patent for something called an in materio computing classification device. I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction. It's basically a blueprint for making physical matter compute. These two things, they could not seem more different.
But they're not different at all. In fact, they're deeply connected. We're about to see the direct line that you can draw from those billions in public funds all the way to this radical piece of tech that could totally reshape computing as we know it.
And here it is, the big reveal. Who filed that wild patent? The assignees are the Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, the CNRS, and the Commissariat à l'Énergie Atomique, the CEA. Yep, the exact same organizations that are the #1 and #3 top recipients of public funding in all of Europe. So the big takeaway here is that the funding report isn't just about money, it's about enabling exactly this kind of crazy, deep tech innovation.
So what in the world did that public money help create? What even is in materio or matter computing? Let's dive in.
Okay, in the simplest terms I can put it, in material computing is a pretty wild idea. Instead of building complex circuits on silicon chips, you use the natural, built-in physical properties of a material itself to process information. The patent basically describes it as a way to create an artificial neural network inside a physical object. It is almost exactly like teaching a block of material how to think.
This drawing from the patent gives us a little peek at how it works. So the device uses this special magnetic material. When you hit it with an input, like a sound wave, it physically moves the magnetic boundaries around inside the material.
The information literally ripples through it, not as ones and zeros on a wire, but as a physical wave of change. It's like creating a maze that solves itself.
The whole thing really just boils down to 3 steps. First, you take an input. Let's say you speak a word, and you turn it into a physical force, like a magnetic field. Step 2, that field makes the magnetic walls inside the material shift and move around, and they eventually settle into a totally unique final pattern. And third, a little sensor just reads that final pattern, and that pattern directly tells you what the original input was, like it can identify the exact word you spoke.
I mean, this is an incredible, mind-bending piece of technology. But let's zoom back out for a second and connect it to where we started this whole journey. Why does that 93.3 billion euro budget and France's slice of it actually matter?
Because the real story here, the big takeaway, isn't just about one clever invention. It's not about a single patent that came out of some lab somewhere.
Now, this is a perfect illustration of the entire innovation engine firing on all cylinders. That huge pile of public money gives institutions like CNRS and CEA the stability they need to go after high-risk, long-term research. You know, the kind of moonshot ideas that private companies usually won't touch, but which lead to the really fundamental breakthroughs.
So the next time you see one of those reports and it's full of charts and billions of dollars, remember this story. That data isn't just boring bureaucracy. It's the fuel for projects just like this one. It's the investment that turns abstract science into real, tangible, world-changing tech.
And that, of course, leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on. This is just one breakthrough from the top 2 funded places in just one country. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible, sci-fi level ideas are quietly being worked on in labs all across Europe right now? All being powered by this massive, continent-wide bet on the future.